In this video, we're going to be looking at finding cube roots. So you're used to hearing, and you've heard lots of times before, the term square root. And you know that that's when you have like the square root of 49, you're looking at what number times itself would give you 49. So that would be 7. So a cube root is along the same lines as a square root. Okay, but if you think about it, if you have a number squared, that means your exponent is 2. If you have something cubed, that means the exponent is 3. So for 7 squared, we'd be taking 7 times 7. For 7 cubed, we'd be taking 7 times 7 times 7. So what we're going to be looking at are what are called cube roots, like I said. So the symbol for a square root is this symbol right here. So we would say like the square root of 49 would give me 7. The symbol for a cube root is very similar to a square root, except you have a tiny little 3 right there. And then you have whatever number inside there. Okay, so anytime you see that, that means the cube root of whatever that number is. What number times itself again would give you the number inside. So we are going to be in your workbooks, 7.2, Finding Cube Roots, and this is on page 147. Okay, so let's look at activity 1, Finding Cube Roots. Okay, so on A, B, and C, we have a cube, and it's talking about the volume of each cube. Okay, and if you remember, to find the volume of a cube, you take the length times the width times the height. And what's special about a cube is all of those will all be the same number. So what they've done on part A is they tell us that the volume is 343. Based on that information, they want to know what is the length of each side. Well, we know in a cube they're all going to be the same, so we just take the cube root of 343, and that equals 7, because 7 times 7 times 7 would equal 343. Okay, so let's jump down to B and C. On B, our volume is 27, so we're trying to figure out what times what times what would give me 27. The way we would write this is the cube root of 27 equals, and you end up getting 3. So the length of each side would be 3 feet. On C, volume is 125, so we're going to take the cube root of 125, and you end up getting 5, and that would be 5 meters for each one of those sides, because 5 times 5 times 5 gives you 125. Now, what I want you to do before we move on is, on a piece of paper, I want you to make a table, basically, kind of like the poster that sits behind my desk of the squares and the square roots, and it lists them 1 through 20. We're going to do the same thing for cube roots, except we're just going to go 1 through 10. Okay, so on the left, I want you to name it cubes, and on the right column, we're going to label it cube roots. And here's what I want you to do. 1 cubed equals 1. 2 cubed equals 8. You're going to do that all the way through 10. Then in the right hand column, you're going to go in reverse order. So the cube root of 1 equals 1. The cube root of 8 equals 2. And you're going to do that all the way until you get an answer that equals 10. Okay, this table is going to help you out tremendously as we start working through this. So take a second, pause the video, and as soon as you get that done, you can pick right up where we leave off. Okay, so on the next page, let's complete D and E, same type of thing, except now we have a decimal. Okay, so we're finding the cube root of 0.001. Well, I know the cube root of 1 is 1, so that has to be in my answer. I just need to figure out where the decimal is going to go. Now, I know there are 1, 2, 3 decimal places within that cube root. So if I take 0.1 times 0.1 times 0.1, that's a total of 3 decimal places that I would need in my answer. So the cube root of 0.001 is 1/10. Okay, on E we have a fraction, but we're still going to be doing the same thing, cube root of 1/8. And we talked about this when we did square roots the other day, but you're basically splitting this apart. I'm taking the cube root of 1 and the cube root of 8. The cube root of 1 is 1, and the cube root of 8 is 2. So your answer is 1/2. Now, we're going to skip over activity 2. We're going to jump right down here to what is your answer. So if you look at number 3, it says complete each statement using the word positive or negative. So A says a positive number times a positive number is a positive number. And I'll just put a plus for positive or a minus for negative. B, a negative times a negative would also give you positive. A positive number multiplied by itself twice. So you take 7 and you're going to multiply it by itself twice is going to give you a positive answer. Okay? Positive times positive times positive. That's just basic multiplication. On D, it says a negative number multiplied by itself twice is a, so let's say we have -7 times -7 times -7. You do 2 at a time. So a negative and a negative would be positive. So those two together would give me a positive 49. And then I'm still multiplying by another -7. So 49 times a -7, positive and a negative, would give me -343. So that one's going to be negative. So that leads us into number 4. Can a negative number have a cube root? And give an example. Well, this can be my example to back this up. Okay, so yes, a negative number can have a cube root, and we just proved that right here. So you can use that as your example. Okay, moving on down to number 5. In your own words, how is the cube root of a number different from the square root of a number? We talked about this at the beginning. Okay, a cube root is a number multiplied by itself two different times. A square root is a number multiplied by itself once. Okay? So when you're cubing something, your exponent's 3. When you're squaring something, exponent's 2. And that should just be a review for you guys. Number 6. Give an example of a number whose square root and cube root are equal. Okay? And there should be 1, maybe 2 numbers that pop up automatically in your brain. The first one is going to be the number 1. Okay, 1 squared would equal 1, and also 1 cubed would equal 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. Another number that may have popped up might have been 0. 0 times 0 is 0. And 0 times 0 times 0 equals 0. Okay. Number 7 says a cube has a volume of 13,824 cubic meters. Use a calculator to find the edge length. So, first thing it tells us is it's a cube. That means all the sides have to be the same. And to find the volume, you take the side length and cube it. So, to get this, we're just going to take the cube root of 13,824. Now what I've done is I've pulled up the calculator that's on your computer. Okay, and notice mine is in scientific calculator mode. It's not the standard. So you have to have it in scientific calculator mode. And the way we're going to do this is first you have to type in this number, 13,824. And we want the cube root. So I'm looking for this symbol right here with the little 3, and it happens to be this one right here. Okay, your square root would be the one with the little 2. Okay, so I'm going to do the cube root. And if you hover over it, you see right here it says calculate the cube root of the displayed value. So I just click on that, and it tells me my answer is 24. So the length of that cube, or I guess each side length of that cube would be 24 meters. I'll throw that in there. Okay, so that completes our lesson on cube roots. So what you're going to do is you're going just to go to the next page, page 150, where it says 7.2 practice. And you are going to complete this page as your assignment. It's only got 7 problems on it, so it shouldn't be too difficult. And that will be graded tomorrow.